Hi everybody, we are here with two lovely Pacific Ashtanga practitioners, Troy and Nicole, who are my, they're kind of volunteered, but I kind of made them come up here. So today we are talking about Sthira Sukham, and I'm excited because we're now starting to talk about Sukham. So what is Sthira? Strength, focus, rooting, and Sukham is our ability to be light and to float and to let things roll off us, to be at ease. And it's this combination we've been working on in our yoga practice and in life, is how to come from our strength and start to move into floating and letting go of things and being lighter. So my example was the bandhas lately, right? So that's our Sthira, our Uddiyana bandha, pulling it upward here, and our Mula bandha, contracting the perineal muscles and pulling them up. And when we do that, we start to feel like a trunk of a tree. So right now Nicole's kind of relaxed, but if she engages the bandhas, we'll see how her trunk grows up. You can even feel like from my Mula bandhas, my sternum lifts. But at the same time, her shoulders are very soft, but you can see how she's fully strong and lifted through here. And we're looking for that throughout all the different limbs in our practice. So my legs have that same quality of rooting through my feet, pulling up through my bandhas, my arms extending past Troy from my center, my bandhas, all the way out like the Vitruvian man. And in the practice, I like to use a yoga strap for my example here, is that if I have my, I'm going to say this is my bandhas engaged really strong, then I should see that in my limbs, like rather than being sort of like, I always say it's kind of like a caterpillar, like kind of my rope is slack in my body. Now, even I see this in my kneecaps, I see it in my feet, that when I'm engaged in my bandhas, it pulls this into tension and full, like what we just saw in Nicole. And from my bandhas, then my third position, you can see my torso, rather than being slack, gets pulled into tension as well. And my arms get pulled into tension, even if I'm extending out this way, rather than being slightly slack and relaxed, is pulled into tension in each area. So from that center rooting, we can see where it all begins to move in all those great different directions. And we've been studying that for the last couple weeks, so now we're going to add how we use that extension and tension, actually, like a push-pull situation, through vinyasa and asanas to create lightness. So, you know, our floating David Swenson, our dancer Shelley Washington, our martial artist Bruce Lee, is what we do every time we come and do this dance of Ashtanga. So I've asked my two assistants here to demonstrate for you what's going to happen. So I'm going to ask them both to come up into standing. And just to begin right here in the standing position to engage the bandhas and feel like the trunk grows up and the feet press down. So you probably can't see specifically, but Troy's feet are slightly lifted and he's rooting all the way through the feet. If we could see his knees, I'm touching his knees right now, they're completely engaged and lifted through the quads, through the bandhas, all the way up through the top of the head. So in Samasthitihi, we're going to do sun salutes this way. So we're going to bring the hands in front of the heart. And both my assistants are going to inhale and come all the way up through the feet from the center, all the way up and then all the way down, just like the yoga rope. And they're going to inhale and watch. This is the human being doing the yoga rope thing. All the way through the top of the head, from the bandhas, the feet, everything's engaged. Now I'm going to have both of them root through their hands, pull the bandhas up and step it back with great lightness into chaturanga and hold with great lightness. And inhale, it's fluid. And exhale. Now I'm going to have them do the same thing to come up. We're not going to jump, we're going to step. From the bandhas, they're going to create great lightness in how they come up, just stepping it up. So both of you can inhale, step light, same extension, notice. Exhale, they come forward, same tension. Inhale, inhale all the way up like you're rooting past your mats all the way up to the top and coming down. Now this time we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to have them jump it back. And we're going to jump it back with that same lightness from the core center. And the way they're going to get this, I'm just going to front load this information, is by rooting down through the hands and pulling up through here and strengthening the legs, their jump back becomes lighter through that strength. So we're going to inhale the arms up. Again, everything's extended. Exhaling down. Inhale from the rooting system in the core, pull through the top of the head, through the feet, and exhale, jump it back with lightness. Beautiful. Inhale it up dog. Exhale, push through the hands, pull the belly up for down dog. And we're going to jump with that same lightness, pushing through the hands, lifting through the bandhas. And exhale forward. And inhale, sweep the arms. And exhale it down. Beautiful, and you can sit down. We also on Sunday went through jump throughs, but we don't have enough time today to do jump throughs. Maybe we'll add that on a separate video. But just trying to incorporate every bit of your practice has this quality of finding your roots from the center, finding your extension through the roots, and in that you can see how Troy and Nicole were able to create some lightness from that place. Now, what I love the most is, most of you out there know this as well as everyone in the room this morning, what I love the most is in yoga as in life. So taking this teaching today and saying, how does this apply to our life? This applies to our life because we find our rooting, we find our strength. And in that, like last week we talked about being children again and being more playful and having fun and laughing and expressing ourselves through the way we dress or the way we talk or whatever we do, unabashed. Is actually part of our yoga philosophy, our yoga practice. So my quote today is possibly one of my all-time favorites from Deepak Chopra. And he's actually quoting this from the old text of the Vedas and the Upanishads. And we call that Vedanta. And so when he refers to that in Sanskrit, in English translation, it means conclusion. So that means these old texts have these wise things to say, and the conclusion is this. And he says this is such a beautiful way because it's so user-friendly for all of us. So Deepak Chopra said, according to Vedanta, there are only two symptoms of enlightenment, just two indications that a transformation is taking place within you towards a higher consciousness. The first symptom is that you stop worrying. Things don't bother you anymore. You become lighthearted and full of joy. The second symptom is that you encounter more and more meaningful coincidences in your life and more synchronicities. And this accelerates to the point where you actually experience the miraculous. So the yoga texts tell us, the yoga practice tells us, the more we evolve into higher consciousness, which we might say enlightenment or just a higher form of yourself, means that we're more playful, we're more happy, we worry less, we let more things roll off of us. That's a symptom of yoga. That's a symptom of a yoga practice of peace. And second, if you study the koshas and you get into the, the innermost koshas to the soul, what the koshas reflect is your inward self, and that inward self makes you feel like you have more intuition, more synchronicity, more things that you feel connected with. And that as well is this higher way of living our lives. And it's very user-friendly. It's not about like having this like beautiful yoga philosophy that we study here, like when we're on our yoga mat, we're on the mountain, you know? No, it's like coming off the mountain, coming off the yoga mat, and it's like, how are you driving your cars? How are you raising your kids? How are you handling the situation today right in front of you? That's what this is about. So, as always, I enjoy this practice, and I enjoy taking it out of this room, off these mats, and into our lives. Namaste.